All right, so welcome back. We have our vehicle again. So we got some parts in that we'll start swapping in. We've got some motor mounts. As you see back here, we got a tank. So we'll get some of that stuff thrown in there. We'll get these front bars welded up, and hopefully we'll have enough time to make the main hoop to go around my head. So that's what we're going to attempt to do today. Let's get started and see how far we make it. Alright, so we can see we got our tank. That's about a 19-gallon tank made by RCI. Just a simple square dealy bob. So it will fit right in the back. And we'll be good to go. So the next up is we got some motor mounts to try to monkey around with. So guess we'll probably start off with a strap, hook it around the hoop, put it on the intake, and kind of just hold that side while we yank all these bolts out and see what we're dealing with. That worked pretty nice. Bingo. Alright, quick little touch up like that. And that should be good to go. Now, once we let that dry, we'll go take a look at these wonderful pads that they have. This is just your standard, got a rubber piece here, and then it's kind of got this fluid damping down here. So it makes for a quiet, non-vibration ride, but that can also make it so the engine can rock back and forth a little more. And with this alternator placement down here by the cross member, that could be kind of a dangerous thing for that alternator. So we're going to be swapping this big thing out for this guy. It's just a simple urethane style mount. So like it's a pretty stiff urethane that's on this one, but for some reason if we destroy that urethane, we can just replace it with a slug of aluminum or something. Anyways, I guess I'm going to wait for this to dry up for the paint, and then we'll just slap this thing on and move on to other things. Alright, so our new guy goes right in there. We need to lift the motor a little bit. Maybe a little more. That looks pretty good. Just a touch more. There we go. Supposed to be that bad. Of course, it works the same back here as it did up there. Well, it certainly is lighter than an LS. Oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so slowly but surely, we are kind of getting this thing remounted up. Our biggest hurdle is probably going to be this guy not fitting here. So we're probably going to come up with something slightly different. We might bolt something up here or something. Or maybe we can make a bracket, bolt the actual mount section to the engine. Yeah, that would almost work quite well. Since this mount has bolts, all that we'll really need to do, make like a 1/8 inch plate, 1/4 inch plate. So 1/4 inch plate, weld this guy right on top of that 1/4 inch plate. We can have a tab stick down off the bottom to attach onto those bolts, and we'll be in the money. That'll work quite nice. All right, that we'll have to postpone for another day. Mainly because I don't have any of that 1/4 inch plate laying around. So, I guess for right now, we don't have that much wibble wobble. So we should be able to continue on where we're planning to go. So I guess for our next trick here, I should probably measure from our hoop here to get these rails, our main rails for the car, kind of ironed out where they're gonna go. So we'll have to monkey up a couple tricks with that too. All right, so as you can see, we have our bars that I kind of ground down that section for it to hook onto that engine hoop. And then we've got the jack right here in the middle with a string wrapping around to each side. That keeps us triangulated so we know we've got same distance from each side, so we can measure from that stick to there and from the stick to there and have at least a chance of having this thing relatively square. It's like we are going to probably be slightly unsquare in the whole scheme of things, but honestly, as far as kind of racing a car, I don't think that's a major concern. I figure if the measuring tape says it's close enough and it passes the eyeball test, I think we're sitting at that close enough mark. Now I'm gonna have to go clean up the tubes a little bit so we can get the welder out and give her a couple zaps. Okay, well, I guess we need to get a couple things out of the way. We've got to cut ourselves a crossbar for that spot. Looks like we should be able to make 37 do. And then this last bar is what's going to determine the whole squareness of this. So this is going to be probably slightly important, but 37 it is. All right, so I got that tube sectioned right across there, right at that 20-degree bend. And I've measured every which way to Sunday. We've got about the same length from side to side, corner to corner, jack handle to sides. Even got out the angled bevel finder thinger. What do they call that? A T-bevel. So I think this is probably about as good as it's going to get. That there. We are right on. Probably can't ask for anything better. That's kind of it for that area. All right, so going off of this, we're definitely getting there. I guess our next order of business is to cut another one at that back joint. But I guess before I do that, maybe I should worry about making my main hoop. So now I got to figure out how tall my head is and get a couple inches extra for good measure. So I'm probably going to grab a helmet and probably give
an additional 3 inches on top of that just for good measure, just in case we have someone slightly taller want to take a drive in it. We won't completely destroy them. Alright. Looks like we can go to a nice round 48. Alright, that's 48 from the ground. So roughly 40 inches. Maybe I'll run that 41 inches or 42. Let's go 42, so we got an inch on both sides. Then we'll be able to monkey around with how to get that laid out. Now, we're also going to have to throw the tank in there so we can make sure we measure the right section of this back area for how wide it needs to be. Get right about there. I've got tubes coming across. Right in there. So we want about 40. Nice. So about 40 by 40. Square it up. And then, let's see. My shoulders should be at these. Yep, my shoulders are at the seat points. So that's at about 22. So that would be straight up there. If we came over at 20, up to there. That should probably do. All right, so I've got my menu going on here. Essentially, we had to start off with figuring out roughly what angles and everything we were heading for. So we had 20 inches coming up. We decided about 30-degree angle just to be even, which comes out to 23.1 inches along that line, because you know, trigonometry type of stuff. But anyways, so then we find out that, then we know that this is going to be 60, and then more trig, you end up with 11.5 is this stretch here. So you take your 40 wide, subtract the 11.5 from that side, 11.5 for the other side, and you end up with 17 inches across. And then we just have to plug that into a tubing calculator on the internet. There's like one called Bend It Online or something like that. And it spits out a series of numbers. So you need to start your bend for your first one at 19.39 inches. Your next bend starts at 40.55. Next bend starts at 56.9. Next bend starts at 81.2. And then you lop it off at 103.76. Of course, I'm going to add another extra inch to each of these. This calculator already adds an inch to each end, but I want a little additional just in case things don't quite work well. That, and I'm also tilting it back, so I might need just a tad bit more. So, what that's going to leave us with is we're going to start this bend at 20.39, but to make it simpler on this device here, we're going to have to write all these numbers down and then subtract the space from the clamp block. So that way we can measure from the clamp block instead of where the bend starts. So I'm going to do that here real quick, and then I'll have a bunch of numbers that I can just hit the first one, bend it to 30, run it through to the next line, run that to 60, run it to the next line, hit that at 60, run it to the next line, hit that at 30, and we're to be done. Nice. And there it is. Not too bad. Just gotta trust the internet sometimes. Let's go test this out on the frame over here. And yeah, let's go check it out. All right, so this is definitely where things start being annoying, and that's mainly getting this hoop in there was a little more of a chore than it needed to be. The online calculator thing, just a tad bit off. So if I were to do that again, I'd probably do my own math, make my own measurements, and go from that point. But either way, we got it in there. It's a tiny bit lopsided. I think it's a touch shifted this way. I'm at this angle point, a little bit that way, but Looks like it's probably within 1/16 of an inch, so close enough for the stuff I build. Anyways, we're now to the point that we need to put in a seat bar. So, spend a few minutes making sure we got this thing so it goes in. It's like easier said than done because we got some of these sidebars. Pretty much yank it into place. And the angle of a dangle. It says this side needs to go up just a touch. Anyways, thanks for joining me today. We got quite a bit accomplished, and we've got some tires that just rolled in off the delivery truck. So we'll be able to start getting this thing mocked up a little more in earnest here, and we'll pretty much be set. So anyways, I got those parts, got some more parts on the shelf, and we're waiting on a few more parts. But all in all, we're making very good progress, and we might have ourselves a rolling chassis in another couple weeks. Anyways, thanks for stopping by and watching. Hopefully, we'll get to see you again later.